This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Alpine. I'm very excited to be on this map because this is from the Kane's Wrath 1v1 new map tournament, and spawning as the green steel talons on the left side, we have Green Zero. That is right, and this is going to be one of the semi-final matchups. His opponent as the Red Traveler 59 on the right side. You know him as Unleashed. And it is really exciting to not be on Rift, to not be on any of the standard ladder maps. As you can see, there is going to be a spike in each corner, and then an additional spike in the middle, but that won't come into play probably until a little bit later. But as for now, both of these players are going to be going to secure their spikes in the corners, which is of course what you would expect. However, after that, we'll have to see exactly what these players are going to be doing, and it looks like it is going to be fast legs, advanced articulators, and a fair number of disintegrators. Is he going to be sticking just with 5? We'll have to see, as it just does finish there. And it is going to be a delayed refinery, about a full load of Tiberium faster for Green Zero. But of course, this upgrade, if Unleashed can snipe down a Harvester, he will be in a pretty good position to go ahead and continue this game. But if he doesn't snipe down a Harvester and he's not able to really do too much damage with these disintegrators, then we'll have to see exactly what his follow-up is, because if he does no damage with these, if Green Zero spots them early on and gets some great shots off, which I don't think he's actually going to be able to spot these, then he could be in some trouble. However, he is going to be going for... This is like the perfect counter, especially if he scouts it a little bit early, if he sees it just a little bit early. Oh, it is going to be an MCV cell, so this could actually be extremely devastating for Green Zero. He is going to be calling in the Ox Transport, but I don't know if he spotted this or if he was just heading up north to go for a swing around, but we do have the Ox Transport going to be loading up that engineer. A power plant does get sold off. The War Factory has been thrown down, but there isn't any additional harvesters going to be built. So immediately, both players in an extremely awkward position. Although Unleashed considerably less awkward, he is going to be sending his engineer down south for that spike. In the mid-ground, we do have that Hammerhead running around with the Rifleman Squad inside of it. He did not keep the command post, so he sold that off, which means no AP ammo. So the longer this game goes on, of course, Green Zero could be at a pretty big disadvantage. He can always rebuild his MCV, but currently he is in a pretty awkward position. However, of course, he's going to be able to put on a lot of pressure with these 4 Orcas, and that's going to be forcing Unleashed to react to that. And we'll have to see. This Gunwalker is going to be getting some nice shots off, but it's not going to be enough to do any real damage. The next 2 Gunwalkers could definitely be ending the lives of a couple of these Orcas. Green Zero's attack force is just shrinking here as one more Orca almost gets eliminated here. Some more shots could be taking these Orcas down. Green Zero desperately trying to pull away and do what damage that he can. He's fired no shots. He lost that Orca. Green Zero definitely on the back foot, and the MCV still exists, so we could be seeing a second and a third refinery get thrown down, or an expansion either in the middle or down south for Unleashed. So we'll have to see exactly what he decides to do. In the south, we do have the engineer probably going to be capping that spike as it goes off right there. Green Zero desperately trying to find a place to land. He is going to be following it up with Pitbulls. He's got a second Harvester. The Orcas still have not returned to base just yet. He does have a total of about 4 Pitbulls out on the field at least. Could have a couple extras. Desperately trying to find somewhere to strike, but it doesn't look like he's actually taken out any of the Harvesters. Doesn't look like he's done a whole lot of damage. Maybe he was able to pick off a Gunwalker or 2, but super annoying. Unleashed has grabbed the spike in the top left. So Green Zero definitely an economic disadvantage, especially with now that this second refinery has gone down. Could go ahead and build an additional Harvester, get up that 2 and 4, which is a little bit better of a ratio than he currently has, and then start working on either building up his army or going for the expand. Because if Green Zero is not able to do a terrible amount of damage in the next couple of minutes, then he is going to be pretty much out of this game. He's already at some degree of a disadvantage, but he's not so far out that he doesn't have any hope at all. However, another nice pickoff here by Unleashed. Those Gunwalkers being very effective in this game, but here come the Pitbulls, going to be supported by this Hammerhead. We'll have to see, is he going to be able to do any damage? There's nothing here to defend for Unleashed. This could be absolutely the move that Green Zero needs to get himself back in this game. There's one Harvester that's taking a lot of damage. The Lightning Spike does go down. That is going to be costing Unleashed some money to defend this, which is not what he wants. However, one Harvester should go down. A second one should quickly follow, and the Orcas should focus down a third relatively easily with the help of those Pitbulls. However, there's going to be the Plasma Missile Battery that isn't exactly going to be helping him deal with these Pitbulls. For the Harvester, and very well may go down as only one harvester does remain, and these pit bulls can go ahead and get on out of there. They have done their job, could go ahead and get one more kill. Green Zero doing huge amounts of damage there. Looks like he will be losing all of his pit bulls, but he will be getting that last harvester kill, meaning that there's only one harvester. Should go ahead and sell off one of those refineries if he needs the cash. Could go ahead and sell off the base defense, at least the plasma missile battery. However, he's going to have to just constantly pump out those harvesters to actually pick back up and get his economy where he wants to be. That was like the perfect amount of damage for Green Zero. If he would have been able to escape, that would have been even nicer, but Unleashed is going to be going for that expansion, so it looks like he's going to be keeping this around, so he's looking to resaturate his main base. I almost called it an expansion, which, I mean, not too big of a deal, but technically it is indeed his main. However, we do have the nerve center. Are we going to be seeing just a straight tech up? I wouldn't imagine so after that much damage, because of course the nerve center was placed down before that attack rolled up, so Unleashed was definitely not ready for that. However, going for the disintegrators with those advanced articulators, going to be forcing Green Zero to pay a lot of attention to these pit bulls and to focus his attention over there, while on the west side we do have this Gunwalker going to be going for the harass. However, not really too big of a deal. He just probably wants to check in on Green Zero, see exactly what is going on. But you've also got to keep in mind that the 3 spikes have been held by Unleashed for most of this game. His drone ship is now down. He's already deployed. The pit bulls are going to be rolling in here, and they're going to be going for at least one more harvester. May be able to even up the score once again and drop down a couple of more of those harvesters. The Gunwalker does get eliminated. The Buster Squad going to be minorly annoying, but not a big deal at all. This harvester is going to be getting pulled back. Green Zero not able to finish the job because of the disintegrators, which are going to be chasing his pit bulls down. One Gunwalker is going to be in the south, but the drone ship has been scouted. Green Zero definitely knows about this expansion, and so that is going to be a target for him to hit in the future. He's got to keep that in his mind, because as this field dries up for Unleashed and eventually dries up for Green Zero, Unleashed is going to have an expansion, whereas Green Zero will not. However, he can, of course, always go ahead and rebuild that MCV at a pretty hefty cost. So, nice plasma missile batteries here, and don't know if he necessarily needs both of them, but as long as he's got the income to support it, it's going to help stave off those orcas, help stave off those hammerheads, and really help keep him a fair bit safer. Although we do have a plasma missile battery going to be going down on the front line. More disintegrators need to be pumped out here desperately, as the pit bulls are going to be rolling on through. Just enough space for them to get by there. That's actually remarkably tight of a ramp, but they are going to be rushing into the main base. More pit bulls are going to be going down. I think this is probably going to be worth it. He should be able to get one, if not 2 of these harvesters. A couple of them are low on health. However, he could be very well just losing a ton of pit bulls. One harvester has not gone down. However, 1 and 2 should go down right there. They do go down, and that's a nice pickup for Green Zero, but he's lost a considerable amount of pit bulls. And so he's forcing Unleashed to really just stay defensive, and while Green Zero kind of has the map presence, he can't really do anything with that. He can't easily expand without rebuilding his MCV, and until then, I mean, he may have free access to the map, but is he actually doing anything with this? Unleashed is going to be transitioning down to the southern field, throwing down another plasma missile battery. It's kind of a dangerous situation because you don't necessarily need them all the time, but it's nice to keep them around for when the orcas, for when the hammerheads do roll around here. And, oh, picking off one of these heroic disintegrator squads could be a really nice move here by Green Zero. He's going to be getting that one right there, cleans it up quite nicely. But Unleashed is going to be looking to go on the offensive relatively soon. He has been playing mostly defensive for this entire game, but I mean, Green Zero has been putting a ton of pressure on Unleashed. Green Zero being very aggressive with that MCV cell opener, the fast airfield, and then the follow-up just straight up pit bulls. And I mean, in theory, it's going to be definitely a close match, but as the game goes on longer and longer, Unleashed has harvested more Tiberium, and now, suddenly, things have equalized at least a little bit here. And while the ground army for Green Zero may be technically a little bit weaker, he's been doing a pretty good job keeping Unleashed hemmed in. Green Zero going to be going for that expand. He's not giving up. He's not just going to be waiting around for Unleashed to kill him. He's definitely going to be setting up that expansion and should be able to present himself in an orderly fashion for the remainder of this game, getting up to that, at least rebuilding the command post and getting that AP ammo at the very least. That's the tech that he could go for, but eventually possibly getting up to those railguns, since he is indeed Steel Talons. But he's mostly just been focusing on this hammerhead play, which is absolutely fantastic out of him. He's been doing a great job with the hammerhead, with the pit bulls, and of course those orcas do help quite a bit as well. Shock troopers, not something you see very often, but it looks like he does indeed have the plasma disc launchers. Little upgrade there for the shock troopers, and I do believe it's actually an upgrade. No, it's not. That's the shard launcher. That's the upgrade, and they just all disappeared as they blink forward to catch a Hammerhead or an Orca, as I was talking about how good Green Zero's control is. And then suddenly, he just loses whatever air unit that was. In the north, we do have a Buzzer Squad going to be cleaning up that Rifleman Squad. 4 Harvesters on this field. Going to be dropping down that barracks, drafting a couple of Watchtowers just to help deal with these Shock Troopers, which, I mean, they are going to be giving him some trouble, and Green Zero could actually be taking a lot of damage from this. He does not have anything on the southern field. He never was able to. I don't actually know if he's going to be able to place anything on the other side of that ridge with that MCV. I'm not sure if the radius will allow him. However, he still does not have AP ammo, which means these Rifleman squads and the Watchtowers indeed are just not going to be quite as effective. The blink forward going to be happening, and these Shock Troopers being so annoying. At the very least, they may just be forcing Green Zero to spend a lot of time building these base defenses, selling them off, and trying to snipe down what he can, but they're just blinking around the map. Snipes down one of these Harvesters, could go ahead and snipe down a second one. He's got so many of these Shock Trooper squads that he's actually doing a pretty good job of clearing out these Harvesters. All but one do remain. Or only one does remain. Green Zero has been defeated. Unleashed, almost done harvesting that second field, and Green Zero did not have an expansion. So as soon as Unleashed really put on the pressure, when he really went on the offensive, Green Zero just absolutely crumbled. Green Zero desperately trying to keep Unleashed contained for the majority of that match, and he was successful for the most part. But when it really counted, when Unleashed went on the offensive, Green Zero just didn't have enough to hold him off, and maybe if he wouldn't have got the MCV, if he would have pushed out some more units, he maybe could have held that off, but it's hard to say for sure. However, this is a best-of-5 series, and we've got some more games coming right up, which is going to be on Tournament Undergrounds, and I'm really excited for these new maps. They're just so freaking awesome. And on the left side, as the Green Steel Talons once again down one game, it is Green Zero. And of course, his opponent in this series, in the semifinals best of 5, is going to be Unleashed. He's the blue GDI on the right side. So, Tournament Underground's definitely an unusual map. A ton of detail in this map. Like, there's so much stuff in these maps made by Predator. They're just each one pretty darn awesome, and it looks like Foxhole is going to be going down and deployed in time before Green Zero even shows up. Green Zero, nice reaction time, pulls away just in time, going to be rerouting his scouts north, and as you can see, there is 6 green Tiberium fields, which that's actually a fair distance between these. I wasn't actually sure if it was close enough to go ahead and deploy your MCV in the middle and then still have some build radius down here. I don't think it is, but Green Zero with 3 scouts in the north is going to be able to, actually might be able to pick off this engineer. It might be worth it just to jump forward and go for the engineer, almost ignoring these squads, but it looks like he's going to be forced to anyways if he wants to go for that engineer. Of course, once he gets outside of the range, the engineer has absolutely no protection against him, and actually Unleashed is going to be going for that refinery, and of course he got the engineer out early for the tib spike in the bottom. Green Zero is actually going to be going for a fast mobile repair transport. I wanted to say APC, but it's not quite an APC, and will provide him a nice little repair radius, but I think he probably ended up getting that engineer. I'm not technically sure, but Green Zero going to be opening up with a little bit of repairs happening. I'm not actually sure what he plans on doing. Did he already have an engineer in there? I didn't see one pop in. Yes, he did, so I completely missed that. He is going to be grabbing that, so good on Green Zero grabbing that. Going to be going for Titans. Nothing like an MCV cell, at least not so far in this game. And he is likely going to be just going pretty darn standard, dropping down that second refinery. And is he going to be immediately packing up his MCV? We'll have to see for the expand. While on the other side, we do have Unleashed a little bit behind with that second refinery. He has grabbed the spikes, so it looks like there's spikes nearby, and I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if that was Stadium that I'm thinking of, where there's an additional spike or not. I don't actually remember what version of Stadium I'm thinking of. But mine's getting thrown down there by Unleashed. He does have the engineer all packed up inside of that APC, ready to do some battle. But of course, the mobile repair transport repairing almost as fast as those APCs are damaging it. And suddenly the mines getting thrown down are pretty deadly, but they're not actually doing too much damage, so one load of mines is not going to be enough to stop Unleashed. Unfortunately, Green Zero going to be running over mines himself, so a nice marker there going down by Green Zero, but Unleashed going to be desperately trying to pull away. Doesn't get, oh, he does get crushed, just narrowly being crushed there by the Titan. Green Zero trying to go for the crush on the Predator tanks as well as the Harvesters. Is he actually going to be able to get it? I'm not entirely sure if he is, but having that mobile repair transport nearby to go ahead and heal that Titan up is absolutely fantastic. The follow-up from Green Zero going to be those 3 Harvesters and the expand to the northern. kind of middle Tiberium field there. The Titan does still stand. It looks like he got the crush on one of those harvesters, and this is a great way to do insane amounts of early damage with that Titan, is just going for the crush, because in some cases you can get lucky and crush 1 or 2 units and not have to worry about actually dealing enough damage to take them out. But with that Rifleman squad inside of that mobile repair transport, he's actually going to have some damage output on that guy. He is going to be able to pull back to the north, and likely won't be able to do too much else. There's going to be that other Tiberium spike. There is one in the north. Green Zero going to be establishing his economy in that middle field, while in the meantime he does have 4 and 2, could be adding on a 5th before he powers up his any more army units, or is he going to be going for a tech up? We'll have to see. Likely not going to be an additional refinery after that, but super annoying because Unleashed forced to pull off at least one harvester over here, and then another one did get crushed, putting him behind a little bit there. And on top of that, Green Zero was able to grab that spike, deny the APC with the engineer. So overall, a nice engagement there and a nice opening up from Green Zero. Unleashed pulling all the way across to the far side of the map. I don't know if this is necessarily a good idea. He doesn't have a whole lot left. And that Ox Transport, banking quite oddly, is going to be the airfield out, and there's Orcas. It's in a pretty hidden position. Green Zero is not going to know about this. If he goes in for another attack, he won't see it for quite some time. However, once this Ox Transport goes ahead and drops down that engineer, Green Zero will indeed know that there is an airfield on the field, and he might actually just go ahead and pump out a ton of missile squads to help him hold off any sort of Orcas or anything that really comes out of that airfield, as a Rifleman squad going to be going in for the scout. Really not a whole lot to see from Green Zero. It's like, hey, you know, you've got that 5 and 2. You're not really doing anything too crazy, but more importantly, he wants to see up in the north the expansion that Green Zero does have, and taking an extremely long route. These Predator tanks have finally arrived, and they might have caught wind of that MCV. I'm not entirely sure if they had vision that far or not, but Green Zero going to be moving out, and in the south, we do have Orcas going to be pulling in. 3 of them are going to be getting some nice shots off on those, all 4 of them actually, going to be getting some nice shots off on those Titans, going to be moving forward and annihilating an additional Titan. The Wolverine might go down as well. We'll get not quite one more Titan, but severely softening up that Titan and the Wolverine. Couple of rocket squads should keep most of the damage from those Orcas off. Green Zero doing a good job of unit mixing, but we'll have to see the Predator tanks from Unleash. Are they going to be enough to hold the line? He's dropping down those watchtowers, but he already sold off the command center, or the command post rather, which means no AP ammo for him, which would be nice in helping him deal off this army. But nice focus firing there by Unleash. However, the mobile repair transport is going to be absolutely crucial here for Green Zero. He's just going to be going for the crush, walking over all of those mines, and nice moves in here by Unleashed, going to be getting the kill with the Orcas. The one thing that Green Zero can't account for in this situation after the missile defenders have gone down is those Orcas. Not enough rockets left in those Orcas to actually take down that repair transport. I wonder if that's actually the same one from the beginning of the game. Very possibly, yes, and it is going to be the AA battery, the preemptive response from Green Zero, spending that money early on so he doesn't have to spend it later. The Pitbull's going to be swinging around to the north side, possibly looking to pick up a couple of harvester kills over here, although I think Green Zero may have actually thrown down those mines there on that expansion. We do have a Predator tank, which is kind of in an awkward position. Could go ahead and go in for the flank, although he may not even need to. These Orcas doing huge amounts of damage. One of them currently at that veteran status, while in the north, these Pitbulls are going to be moving in, running around the base and causing what mayhem they can. They are going to be swinging and going for the power plant. Green Zero, that may be the only kill that he gets. However, if these rocket troopers continue to come out, Unleash does sell it off there, which means Green Zero could go ahead and pull the Pitbulls one by one to the far side of the power plant. Of course, they'll outrun, and they'll run circles around those rocket troopers all day long. Green Zero swinging in with more Pitbulls, going for that classic GDI versus GDI Pitbull spam, which, I mean, most players do enjoy to do. Yeah, those are definitely Green Zero's mines thrown down there, so good on him. Going to be throwing those down. Actually going to be moving in. Might get the kill on one of these harvesters. However, it looks like the Predator tank may be able to be enough to finish this off, but really, the second Predator tank would be nice in that engagement. It might have very well been able to save that harvester that did go down. One harvester at least going down. Green Zero, on the other hand, does have that tier 3. He does have the tier 2. He's already rocking that command post and the tech lab, although it doesn't look like he actually has any upgrades. No, he does not. but he's already rocking that 5-2 in the north, well, somewhat north in the middle, and then he can go ahead and expand to the far northern base, or even start long-distance harvesting that blue, which it looks like he already has. Got a couple of harvesters lined up there, could go ahead and tell them to get back to work. Unfortunately for him, slight pause there is going to be delaying that Tiberium. It would be nice for him to have that, but oh, Unleashed, does he actually know what is about to hit him because of these pit bulls stick around in the middle of the map? Is he going to be pulling the Harvester? No, he is not. So Unleashed is looking to just clear up these pit bulls with these Predator tanks. Green Zero may just need to pull back. He's not reacting. He's likely controlling something else somewhere else on the map. However, in the south, it's just going to be single Rifleman squad, and the Harvester is now here. Green Zero will be doing maybe some damage to it. No, they were already being told to attack that Foxhole. Green Zero not paying attention down there. However, the Orcas are going to be swinging in. Green Zero probably trying to react to this, but Unleashed going for the great counterattack. There's 3 AA batteries here already here. They're going to be able to hold off these Orcas without too much trouble. One Harvester will go down. A second one may as well. Yes, it does go down. But Unleashed trades it for 4 Orcas, two which I believe were that veteran status. 5 Mammoth tanks on the front lines going to be moving in, while on the other side we do have rocket troopers going to be heading up for Unleashed. And the mass sell-off. Unleashed is like, well, I'll go ahead and get my money's worth now. Railguns, is it on the way? Yes, it is on the way. Almost finished. And in the north, we do have the MCV, which is taking a fair amount of damage, and it's about to be taking a ton of damage. Green Zero does deploy it right there. In the south, we do have the Mammoth tanks continuing to roll over this base. The 5th one going to be added on as Railguns finish up right there. Unleashed can't really do anything about this. These Mammoth tanks, Green Zero could have actually just cut to the chase, ran up north, and ended the game quite a bit earlier, although I don't think Unleashed can actually do anything about this at all. The early strikeout from Green Zero with that Titan may have been enough to put him in the lead, as we've got battle markers going off all over the map. Slingshots going to be moving in for support. Green Zero rolling up. The Orcas are nowhere to be seen, and even if they were, they would have to deal with those slingshots. On the left side, we do have, I'm assuming, what was the Bloodhounds. Yes, it was Bloodhounds, but they are no more. They're currently Dead Hounds. And that was absolutely terrible, but I'm going to run with it because Green Zero is going to be pulling and activating that adaptive armor. I actually forget what that actually does. Allows the use of adaptive armor, increases armor, but counters EMP ability, and that is going to be the end of game number 2, as, yeah, Unleashed really had nothing to hold off those Mammoth tanks. A great transition from Green Zero, staying active, and Unleashed with those awesome counterattacks. Those Orcas doing so much damage, and it was like, oh, I don't have a ground army? Well, just kidding. I don't need a ground army. I'll build 2 watchtowers, take out all your missile squads, and then suddenly my Orcas will be super effective against the Titans. But ultimately, Green Zero got that expansion up way earlier than Unleashed. He had the majority of that field harvested before Unleashed was even really established at his own expansion. And in the end, what was the difference in credits? 30,000 credits of difference. Average income per minute, about 3,000 credits of difference. That's actually a pretty big deal. It did happen about after the 2.5 minute mark, and as you can see, Green Zero just climbing ahead oh so far in that economic difference. So Green Zero with a huge economic advantage, and really just that early pressure. I don't know how much it did. Maybe it just unsettled Unleashed. But in the end, he did drop game number 1, kind of resetting this to a best of 3. Game number 3 is coming right up, which takes us to Smashed Town, USA, which is, of course, a variant of Small Town, USA, but everyone can still call it Stusa, because that's what they love to do. Spawning as the orange-black hand in the bottom left, we have Unleashed. That is right, he is mixing it up for the 3rd time in this tournament, but as the green steel talons in the north, he just tied up the series with some awesome play in game number 2. It is Green Zero, falling down in game number 1, but picking it back up in game number 2, of course, in Smash Town. You do still have those 2 Tiberium spikes, so that's not really different, but of course the difference being that basically, you take Small Town, you throw a meteor at it, and then suddenly there's blue Tiberium in the middle of the map that grows over time, and then other than that, it's actually fairly similar. Some different effects on the sky, water, color correction, all of that, a little bit different. But overall, pretty much all of the buildings are either gone or at low health. You do still have these ones, which I always talk about, because they're kind of important sometimes. But that will do it for the sort of map roundup. I mean, if you want to see a little bit more in-depth, you can, of course, watch Green Zero's video, where he goes over all of these maps But so far, nothing too wonky out of Unleashed, and I'm assuming the same thing out of Green Zero, although we may see a very similar opener out of Green Zero where he goes for the mobile transport, where he does indeed go for that Titan follow-up to try and do some early crushing on his opponent, because of course bikes are going to be dealt with relatively easily by that Titan. However, it is going to be a Harvester follow-up, so no real attacking units will be on the field, and of course the mobile repair transport actually repairs at a fair rate. I mean, if Cabals can attack it and not actually do very much damage, you know that that repair rate is absolutely insane. The same opener for Green Zero as pretty much in the last game. Going to be following it up with, I'm not actually sure if he's going to be following it up with a later expansion or if he wants to immediately go for the expansion. You have to drive quite a ways to go ahead and get that expansion, so it'll probably be a later expansion, but a nice scout here. Unleashed goes for that. Goes for just the flame tank, it looks like. He did go ahead and sell off that operation center, getting the black hand, which means he will not be going for the Reckoner, I don't think. And in the north, yeah, I don't think we have any more flame tanks, so it looks like it's just going to be the 2. However, that should, or just be the 1, not 2. However, that 1 may actually be enough to do some damage. I mean, at the very least, he might be able to pick up a Tiberium Spike, but other than that, Green Zero knows that it's there. And actually just delaying it in the south may be a pretty big mistake. Green Zero doesn't actually have a whole lot to deal with it other than this Titan, so we'll have to see if the positioning is going to be good enough to actually deal with that. However, taking out those mines quite nicely without actually losing anything. Unleashed was able to hold off that early attack from Green Zero. The flame tank is going to be moving in. It might just get crushed. No, Unleashed is actually paying attention, so he's going to be pulling around. But unfortunately for him, Titans can fire while moving, and the crush does indeed happen. So good moves there by Green Zero. A nice try by Unleashed, and now he's going to be moving in. Are there any Wolverines? No, there are not. However, I mean, Harvesters can crush pretty much everything in there in just 1 or 2 goes. And of course, the Titans may be able to get close enough to do that as well. However, the Rocket Troopers should focus down this Titan relatively quickly. The Wolverine is already out on the field, and with the Cabal Squad in support, Green Zero could be in a little bit of trouble. However, as long as the Wolverine isn't focused down too quickly, then he will be able to take out the majority of these forces. As you can see, they were gunning for that 1 Harvester, trying to kill it, and I can't exactly blame them. Nice kill on that Tiberium Spike. Unleashed, doing some damage there. A great move. Is going to be following it up with an additional 2 racks. So he's going for a ton of militant squads, but does he? No, actually it's kind of odd that he doesn't have a secret shrine. He may be building that right now. We'll have to see. It is going to be a secret shrine, and immediately should be starting that Black Confessor upgrade to go ahead and get the Black Disciples, to get the Flame Squads on top of those units. However, with 2 Wolverines, a 3rd one added on, and could be mixing in a 4th one, Green Zero is going to be going for the expand. He does have that command post, could go ahead and begin that AP ammo to make his Wolverines more effective, and as you can see, he's way ahead of me. He's already got that upgrade completed, and so he is going to be heading down south. However, it looks like Unleashed has caught sight of this, going to be moving in some rocket squads for that offensive movement, and he could actually go ahead and rally some of these guys down here. We'll have to see exactly what he plans on doing. He is going to be going for the expand to the north. There's going to be the Black Disciple upgrade. Is he? He's actually starting Purifying Flame, not an upgrade that you see very often. Most players don't really feel the need to get it. However, this MCB could be in a lot of trouble. There's actually no units here for support. Green Zero is actually on the wrong side of the map. He might be able to do damage to the MCB of his opponent, but is he actually going to be able to deal with these Rocket Troopers on the front line? They've got the Black Disciples, which means they'll do pretty good versus these buildings. The sell-off does grant 18 credits to Green Zero. However, the MCB, is it exposed? Yes, it is entirely exposed for Unleashed. He doesn't have anything rallied up north here. This could actually be a ton of trouble for both of these players, as they're desperately trying to pull around some forces and deal with this attack. However, blocking off these watchtowers with the barracks is going to be absolutely great for Green Zero, allowing him to crush this attack, and the reinforcements are just a little bit too late. The reinforcements on the north side, are they going to be enough? No, Green Zero is still doing solid damage to this MCB. He is finally rallying up those Rocket Troopers from the mid there, as Unleashed with the slow reaction time. His control not always perfect in these games. The Engineer does get the repair just in time there. So a nice save there by Unleashed. While in the mid, we do have in Green Zero's main the loss of 1 Titan, but the entire attack did get cleaned up. Those Wolverines, I mean, they're good versus infantry, and they don't do too poorly with AP ammo versus buildings either. Both of these players have done a fair bit of damage to each other, but ultimately Green Zero is going to be limping forward onto Unleashed's base. And is Unleashed going to be able to hold this off? He shouldn't have too much trouble. He does have a fair amount of man spam out on the field. However, these Wolverines are going to be chewing through these Rocket Troopers. However, the Rocket Troopers are in good enough numbers to maybe eliminate most of these Wolverines. However, the focus firing is not great. A lot of these Wolverines, which could have been eliminated, are not going to be eliminated. Maybe the focus firing would have changed the outcome of that battle, as Green Zero is going to be pressing forward a little bit further with his Wolverine, which is actually pretty heavily damaged and will most likely be eliminated here in the next couple of shots. An additional Wolverine going to be following up for Green Zero, going to be pulling back in the middle of the map. He's going to be pulling his Wolverines back, sending his Harvesters forward for that long-distance harvesting, and going to be dealing with the attack in the south. Unleashed is going to be pressing forward. Is this actually a good idea? Not necessarily, as he doesn't have anything. He doesn't necessarily have enough units to deal with this. He's been splitting his forces. He's got forces in the north. He's got forces in the south. It's not going to be likely enough to actually break this bank. Green Zero has got himself established. He's got 3 watchtowers constantly peppering out that damage, and he can throw down barracks. He can throw down power plants to go ahead and block those watchtowers. We've seen him do them before, and Unleashed is unwilling to learn from his mistakes, and he is going to be going for that attack, which was completely failed there. He needs something else, even if it's just a few Scorpion tanks mixed in there just for that extra DPS, just for that extra tanking ability, to make Green Zero have to build something other than just watchtowers to completely hard counter that army. Going to be throwing down a foxhole in the middle of the map. However, this army has possibly been surrounded by Green Zero. He might have vision of the Rocket Troopers just on the other side of that building. There's actually a ton of guys there. However, the Wolverines may be getting pulled back for repairs. They might just want to wait to engage until they're right next to the War Factory and then just sort of make that their last stand. But Green Zero certainly has not secured himself a victory just yet. He is definitely in a nice position, going to be going for the full scout off with this Pitbull. Might actually get some shots off on these Harvesters, but likely will not be doing too much damage. The Wolverines could actually be getting pulled back, one of them at least. No, Green Zero is going to be just letting them die. He might actually be controlling somewhere else on the map, but the focus firing just isn't quite good enough to eliminate a lot of these Wolverines. It does go down right there. However, is he going to be focusing down the weakest one? It looks like he is going to be focusing down just a single target, so good on Unleashed, going to be able to eliminate that second Wolverine. However, these Grenadier squads being so annoying for Unleashed to deal with, he will eliminate them right there and stop that building clearing ability. However, you got to keep in mind that, of course, infantry are so cheap for Unleashed to produce. Wolverines are really being the only unit that Green Zero has been spamming out this game. A couple of Titans being mixed in here or there might actually be good to build a couple of mobile repair transports just to make sure that these Wolverines stay at a little bit healthier, a little bit longer while they're away from that War Factory. Unleashed being super annoying with the spike capture in this series. He's making sure that he's capturing his opponent's spikes whenever he can, and as you can see, Green Zero is like, oh no, you're not going to get to kill my engineer that easy. However, although Unleashed was actually just focused on that engineer, giving Green Zero a nice opportunity to eliminate a number of those squads. That entire group of units just got annihilated because Green Zero was like, hey, come chase my engineer. Oh yeah, I'm going to pull it back, and then you're not going to be able to kill it. Well, how do you think of that? What do you think about that? However, that saying does indeed go. But on the front lines, we do have just a ton of Rocket Troopers. These Wolverines are likely not going to be enough to actually pull through a victory here. The Titan is going to be getting taken out as well. The Wolverines getting focused relatively well. Unleashed might get enough shots. Ooh, that one Wolverine narrowly escaping. Just a couple of pixels of health on that guy. And I guess Unleashed is going for the biggest counterattack ever. A single 2/3 health militant rocket squad is going to be moving in there. Green Zero going for a rescout, but I mean, really, he's not going to be seeing anything new. Unleashed just saw something new and exciting for Green Zero, which is going to be these behemoths. And of course, the splash damage from behemoths can do insane DPS to clumped up infantry, which is exactly what Unleashed is likely going to be having. Another small squadron. Unleashed desperately just trying to break in. Maybe if you would have grouped that last squadron of units with this small army, he would have had something to write home about, but instead, the only letters he's writing home are about all of the dead units he's got. He's like, hey, guess what, today I lost another 20 men. It was pretty great. Green Zero was long distance harvesting some blue Tiberium, and I killed the Harvester, but other than that, my entire army got cleaned up. And actually, that was a really nice pickup for Unleashed. Green Zero would have loved to have that additional income from that blue Tiberium. However, in comes the Behemoths, and there's actually not a whole lot here to, there's exactly nothing here to contest them, so I guess they're going to be having an absolute heyday here, dealing with the 2 power plants and that refinery, which Unleashed may very well just choose to sell off the Redeemer Engineering Facility. The first epic unit of this series may very well be coming out of Unleashed's production facility in just a couple of seconds, leveling that one single building. Green Zero reclaiming 2 of those spikes. Was that a Marv? I thought I heard a Marv, but I guess I did not. No, I did not hear a Marv. I'm probably just hearing things. However, it looks like we've got 6 Behemoths, maybe even 7. Yes, indeed, 7 are on the field. Green Zero going to be pushing in as long as he keeps. Oh no, the Rage Gen could be absolutely huge, but as long as Green Zero keeps Unleashed at arm's length for the Behemoths and just does not take direct damage, he is going to be doing absolutely fantastic, because Unleashed is going to have to make the decision, do I want to go ahead and allow these Behemoths to get up close and personal, or try to get up close and personal to the Behemoths, or do the damage to the stuff that's killing me, because he's not going to be able to outrange the Behemoths with just his militant squads. He's likely going to be trying to go for a Rage Gen hit. No, he is going to be pulling his Redeemer aside. Unfortunately for Unleashed, since he is going to be Black Hand, he does not have any sort of cloaking abilities in the north. We do have Green Zero going to be heading in with a total of 6 Wolverines. A 7th may be added on, going to be dropping down, and an additional barracks, possibly just for an engineer to go ahead and recapture that spike, as these spikes changing hands so many times. Unleashed and Green Zero can't really decide who wants to control those spikes. Green Zero, does he have anything else to deal with these squads? This could become dangerous for Green Zero. He doesn't actually have anything to deal with these rocket troopers once they get up close and personal. Going to be drafting a couple of rifleman squads to deal with them, which will be a nice choice. However, it looks like the Rage Gen does go off. These Wolverines have already been told to attack stuff, though, which means the Rage Gen won't actually affect them all too much. The Elite Wolverine almost gets crushed there, but Green Zero does pull it back just in time. However, the remainder of these Wolverines do get eliminated there. The Behemoths on the south side are going to be pushing in. Green Zero controlling about 3/4 of the map between his main base and now what is his 3rd base. He is going to be pushing in, could go ahead and throw down a barracks to start capturing that spike back, but does he even need to? This Redeemer could be the game-changing move for Unleashed that he needs. Or Green Zero could be allowed to shell it from afar. A nice split on these Behemoths. He wants to keep at least some of them out of range of the Redeemer at all times so he can get a nice arc of fire on that Redeemer. Unleashed, what is his follow-up going to be? Now he's building the Scorpion tanks. Now in his time of need, the Scorpion tanks are going to be here. Unfortunately for him, even if he had the tech lab, he couldn't be getting those laser capacitors. Tier 1 versus Tier 3. We've seen it happen many, many times. And typically, it doesn't work out for the player who's Tier 3. However, Green Zero, nice pot shots off on this refinery. The Rage Gen is going to be firing off. I don't think anything is actually in range of it. Yeah, it looks like these Behemoths are just still attacking Unleashed's forces in the north. Unleashed going for the Scorpion tank counter-attack, which I guess is not going to be a harass. However, is he going to be able to eliminate a couple of these Behemoths? He is going to be reverse moving in, which is not what he wants. He takes one shot from those Behemoths, going to be dealing some pretty serious damage. But on the other side, Green Zero sniping down one of these power plants. But he actually does have rifleman squads loaded up into these Behemoths. One Behemoth does go down. Green Zero trying to focus down this Harvester with his Behemoths, taking quite a bit of damage from these Scorpion tanks, but he might actually just be getting the crush. One Scorpion tank does go down, and constant AP ammo damage is actually doing a fair bit against those Behemoths. The Marv is now out on the field. Dual Engineer, and it looks like Grenadier squads on top of that. So infantry will not stand. Unleashed has hardly anything left. The ace in the hole. What is it going to be? Does he have anything? Shockwave artillery going to be raining down EMPs from on high, which means these Behemoths are going to have an absolute heyday. So much damage out on this Redeemer before it even comes out of that EMP mode. As it goes down, Green Zero's chances of losing this game are pretty much also going down, as Unleashed has almost nothing to contend this Marv. The Behemoths constantly shelling from afar, the artillery doing so much damage to these forces, even a Wolverine being rallied in to help Green Zero tie this game out and take one map over Unleashed. Green Zero's taking a lot of damage on that Marv, but he's just crushing back and forth. Unleashed has been defeated. As his last structure goes down there, Green Zero with the majority of the map under his control. And that game, a pretty crazy one, a slow push from Green Zero that involved his MCV, but once he got some momentum, he never stopped. Unleashed never really had the big, massive units or the big, desperate counterattacks that do devastating amounts of damage to keep himself in that game. Green Zero kicking in to high gear and then just sticking it in through the end and crushing Unleashed in the last few minutes there. As you can see, 20,000 credits of difference, or no, 2,000 credits of difference per minute going to Green Zero. In total, about 32,000 credits over the course of a 14-minute game. That's actually somewhat substantial just in 2,000 credits a minute. That's a fair few units more than Unleashed would have had, but of course Unleashed was going for those super cheap rocket squads, so he was able to be pretty cost-effective in that, but ultimately it wasn't enough. Once again, he never had just enough straight-up DPS to do any real damage. Green Zero was just like, alright, watchtowers are good enough, AP ammo is more than fine to deal with your forces, so I'll happily do that while you just sort of knock your head against my base. And Scorpion tanks at the end would have been nice about 15 minutes earlier, but that will do it for game number 3. This is Sybert, signing out.